This is Sam Proof from Who Would Win Masters. We've opened new official channels and we want you there. Follow Who Would Win Masters on Instagram and subscribe to youtube.com/@WhoWouldWinMasters. And on YouTube, click the Visit Community button to leave your 1v1 battle challenges. Leave a comment and you might just hear it read on the show. Be a part of the arena, be a part of the debate. Now let's dive in. Wind drags across an empty desert. Sand whispers over stone. A single click breaks the dark. Boots press into grit. 3 faint green lights flick on. Metal slides against metal. A quiet step, and then another. The desert doesn't notice him. It just loses shadows. Then the air changes. Sand lifts not with wind, but with will. A deep, ancient rumble rolls beneath the dunes. Stone grinds. Dust spirals upwards in a titan column. Something wrapped in centuries of linen and fury uncoils. The storm answers. Precision meets curse. Stealth meets eternity. This week, the third echelon ghost, Sam Fisher, versus the undying Prince of the Sands, Imhotep the Mummy. Tonight, we dim the lights, cut the power, and disturb something that really should have stayed buried. Welcome back to another matchup from Who Would Win Masters. I am Sam Proof on all the socials, and in this episode, representing Ubisoft, when the dad comes to turn off your lights, it's time to say monkey, the stealth operative from Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, it's Sam Fisher, and representing Universal Pictures, an ancient sand-slinging sorcerer who conquered plagues, summoned storms, and welcomes you to the desert with a, hey there, long time, no see. It's Imhotep, the Mummy! Our guest tonight comes from the community. It's Cam Sully, the host of the Jacked Up Review Show podcast. Welcome. Cam, how you doing?
Delightful. Ray and I had a funny brainstorming session. He's like, give me something for a Die Hard type scenario where someone's trapped and everything. And he's like, okay. And he's got to fight some supernatural guy. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. We're ready to go. We got this.
Cool. So what made you pick Sam Fisher?
I just always enjoyed his gruff, not really self-loathing, but his whole just, I'm going to get it done. Whatever means, hard men, hard times, but none of the toxic masculinity, just all straightforward, anything just to get rid of the guy who's going to harm everybody. Just whatever I got to do.
Just sarcasm and night vision, right?
Sarcasm. He almost looked like a video game version, I dare say, of like George Clooney, post-90s. He kind of just had that yeah, I got this.
I could absolutely see him playing that for sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get into this week's Tale of the Tape. Tonight's Tale of the Tape is brought to you by the Fast Food Napkin Awareness Organization. Did you know that when you order fast food at a drive-thru, that they typically give you napkins in a bag? And not just one or two napkins? Oh no, we're talking metric tons of napkins, more than you could ever use in one sitting. Dare I say, a lifetime? Well, instead of throwing them away, when you've finished your order, consider using those napkins to clean yourself afterwards. Remember, those places are killing millions of trees a year just to provide you with far too many napkins, so maybe wipe your hands with them or something. Napkins, they aren't just for throwing away anymore. All right, tonight's battle is perhaps the ultimate contrast of styles. On one side, we have Sam Fisher. Sam Fisher is the main protagonist in Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell series of video games. He was created by J.T. Petty, voiced by Michael Ironside, and first appeared in Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell way back in 2002. Sam Fisher is a calculating NSA agent that goes behind enemy lines and stealthily takes out entire platoons of bad guys. Best known for his dark silhouette with 3 green glowing lasers coming out of his helmet, Sam is the last thing most terrorists will ever see. On the other side, we have Imhotep, a.k.a. the Mummy. Now, the Mummy first appeared in the 1932 The Mummy and was played by Boris Karloff. However, for this battle, we are focusing on the Imhotep from the 1999 The Mummy series, starring Brendan Fraser and Arnold Vosloo as Imhotep. In these movies, the mummy is an undead force that is accidentally released from his tomb and seeks revenge on those who freed him as a way to regenerate and reclaim that which once was his. The Mummy has a host of plague and curse-based powers, and the movie still holds up despite its relatively pedestrian CGI when compared to today's standards. These are the combatants. Cam, it's time to introduce your opponent today. Ladies and gentlemen, hide your self-esteem issues and secure your valuables because this is Ray. Ray, how are you doing tonight?
I am feeling absolutely wonderful, and I do want to point out that was written to be a knockoff of Sting the Wrestler's intro, but I wrote it for the wrong person. So Sam read it like a normal person and didn't say, "This is Ray." That's really what I wanted out of that. But you know what? I didn't tell you about it ahead of time.
Right.
So I should have no expectation of you doing it that way. Honestly, I kind of just did that to disappoint myself through you by proxy.
Fantastic.
So that's who would win Masters in a nutshell.
That's our show.
I'm doing great today, though. Look, this battle is weird. This started as a completely differently conceptualized battle that I realized just wasn't working. So we pivoted. We love to pivot on this show. And Cam is just like, I want to do Sam Fisher from the Splinter Cell series. And I say, that's great. That's a very, very good character. We've never done that character in any iteration of this show that I'm at least aware of. And there's a lot of video games that you can pull from, a lot of storylines. He's a Tom Clancy character. You know, he's really, really good. And I don't know that a lot of people know about him. And perhaps through hearing this show, you'll want to engage with some Splinter Cell, Tom Clancy video game media. And of course, I love The Mummy, and this works. Somehow this works. These two absolutely could face each other. I'm still going to win with the supernatural entity. But that being said, there are paths to victory for Sam Fisher. I saw them. I found them. Will Cam find them? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out.
Wow.
I got a level 9 against a level 5 character. I think I got
it. All right. Well, we'll see how that plays out. But for now, let's take a listen to the rules in under 1 minute.
Here are your rules for Who Would Win Masters in 1 minute. Number 1, there will be 3 timed rounds with counterpoints allowed. Number 2, characters will have no prior knowledge of their opponent and no outside interference will be allowed. Number 3, keep the characters in character. Outliers and crossovers will be given less weight. Number 4, battles can be won by death, knockout, battlefield removal, or incapacitation. And number 5, after the battle, I will give my unofficial opinion as to who wins and why. However, I am just one voice. It will be up to all of you on our social media and our Patreon to make your voices heard as to who won.
All right, Cam, as our guest, you will get us to the battle, starting off with point number 1. 3 minutes on the clock for you. Starting now.
All right. So, Sam, we know that he's operated with the Ghost Recon and Rainbow Six teams. Crazy fact, he ends up having to kill his boss, Lambert, in order to maintain working undercover. And he didn't hesitate either. He can blend in with any background or setting while always having his guard up, day or night. He doesn't take his eyes off the opponent he's taking out. He's similar to Snake Plissken, Solid Snake, and has the night fighting abilities of Riddick. He's a more alert Indiana Jones. He keeps all the details locked in his mind while having physical endurance. He has a bigger body count than John Wick, 502 to be exact. His gadgets can be planted anywhere without giving away his position. He slashed various opponents using the Panther Claw knife. He thinks fast and fears no one, and he waits out his targets, unlike James Bond, who can get outnumbered pretty fast. He doesn't have any vices or family issues. His weapons include ballistic shields, tear gas, spider bots, Uzis, crossbows, sleeping gas, tasers and darts that go various distances, whistling to lure out henchmen, and top-notch training. He can punch through various wooden and metal doors, Schwarzenegger style. He has Dominic Toretto energy, where he's been shot multiple times in the shoulder and brushed it off thanks to his armor and durability. And unlike a mummy, he can survive multiple electrocutions. And as we've seen in the game, Sam uses a direct Jason Bourne type approach, where he uses anything and everything as a weapon. And unlike Batman, he does not refuse to kill. He can go all the way in any kind of fight. And he doesn't need to get close to an opponent to defeat him. He can give anyone severe burns. He won't let his opponent get close to him. He'll see the sandstorm coming And all he needs is a mountain to hide behind. And when the dust settles, all he needs to do is snipe and stun that mummy for more than 2 minutes. And also, he loves utilizing a scenario. In the Conviction video game, he took on a hit squad that was armed with his same kinds of suits, and he used only a shotgun and throwing knives and took out all those heavily armed night vision guys. He doesn't accept death, and he's willing to go to any means to eliminate the opposition. In one of the Conviction books, he took out a whole yacht full of terrorists by dressing up just as a waiter and spiking their drinks, and that was within minutes. His Krav Maga, neck snaps, and physical ninja ability are on par with Wesley Snipes and Bruce Lee's type characters, and he's not blinded by honor or faith. The mummy's taken down helicopters. Sam survived 2 different helicopter crashes. That's a typical Tuesday. So where there's a will, there is a way. And as we've seen,
30 seconds remaining.
He can fire a ring airfoil projectile which stuns every kind of enemy. And he has planted hidden sticky cameras all over the place in his day-to-day routine. In real life, people have actually been mummified due to electrocution while in hot temperatures. Look up the Tucson man case from 2014.
All right, it's getting hot in here. Ray, 3 minutes on the clock for you with the mummy starting now.
Hey, great start with Sam Fisher. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going to live to see a second round. You say 502 body count on Sam Fisher. When I play him, he dies on the first enemy every single time. So remedy that. When I play as Sam Fisher in the Tom Clancy series, he has a 0 body count and is in fact a -1 because he dies. So, wow. Maybe not that impressive. Look, you're saying, what I heard you say is that he needs a mountain between him and his opponent to survive. That's not a good option. He's probably dead if he needs to find a mountain to get between him and his enemy. And does night vision goggles, do they work in a sandstorm? Do they work? They work in the dark, sure. But do they work with sand flying everywhere, blocking the lasers from going anywhere? I would have to believe in what the mummy would potentially want to fight in. His tech advantage gets nerfed significantly. But let's talk a little bit about the physicals, because the mummy, Imhotep, has supernatural strength. We saw it over and over again in the movies. When Imhotep hits you, you tend to not just go, oof, oh no, my chin, my cheek, oh dear, I guess I should hit you back. No. When Imhotep hits you, you fly 10, 20 feet in the air and hit whatever wall was immediately behind you. He does that with a backhand. He does that with a shove. He does that with any physicality he chooses that at all. With one hand, he's grabbing you by the neck and holding you up against the wall like Darth Vader would with the Force, but he doesn't need the Force because he has physical force to push you against the wall with one hand. And he can even grab you and throw you the same distance you would standardly fly whenever he would hit you. So if he grabs you, if he just gets his hands on you, and I know you said earlier, you don't think him and Sam Fisher will get within 1 foot of each other. I'll talk about that in a later point because I don't see how they don't get into that sort of a conflict because Imhotep can close the distance very, very fast with whoever he needs to. But we have intelligence to think about as well. Look, Sam Fisher is not stupid, but Imhotep is no dummy as well. He knows how to hide in plain sight and disguise, even when he's a weird 90s CGI monster, and then use other people to achieve his own ends. He's had 3,000 years of power built up, of undead power. He was kept alive by both hate and magic. 2 things. Well, look, Sam Fisher knows one of them, but he don't know the other, right? And not only that, he can summon an army of the undead. Summoning powers do count, but to be fair, none of this even matters because all he has to do is touch you and he drains your life force and you are done.
All right, Cam, you have 1 minute as the guest counterpoint, 60 seconds on the clock, starting now.
All incorrect. Once again, the mummy's never been successful at accomplishing any of his duties. Sam's pain tolerance, stamina, and killing sprees are very much like Rambo, Punisher, and Worf, where he's done this so long it's second nature to him. Sam's going to see Imhotep's temple, and instead of reacting to the supernatural energy, he's going to toss grenades, smoke bombs, sleeping gas, all while shooting and running to the exit. And as Imhotep comes closer, he's going to walk into Sam's tripwire bombs with the explosion, collapsing Imhotep's tomb and trapping Imhotep in that cave for another century. And once again, the multi-vision goggles can see for any kind of thing, especially storms, as you play in the games with. And since the mummy's taken a human form, he will show up on radar. The Maz rifle can launch silent semi-automatic shots, and since none of Sam's prey is going to be hearing or stopping before it hits him, and the mummy doesn't have telekinesis or force powers, he can't stop it from hitting him. The rounds are going to irritate him and make him slowly walk towards Sam after half his skull's already been blown off. And that's great, because then Sam's going to have a dozen more CO2 chemical bombs traps. And if Sam's fighting the mummy... Okay.
All right, good start,
I have
gentlemen.
so much to counter already. You're going to make me use a point for that? This is outrageous.
Well, you might have to. We'll
boy.
see where that is later. I do want to see if Ray can get Imhotep back out of a collapsed tomb and what his method of closing that distance is, but we'll find all that out when we come back after this round. We'll find that out after we come back after this ad.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. February is a big month for relationships. It's easy to sit back and think everyone else but you has it all figured out. Let me tell you, they don't. It doesn't matter if you're single, coupled, married, none of the above. Therapy can help you. Therapy can help you figure out what you want, why you want it, and how to be your best self to go and try to get it. When I've had relationship issues in the past, I've turned to therapy to help sort through my conflicts, complicated feelings, and the best path forward. Through engaging with my problems and actively working towards finding the best way forward, I got positive results, and there's a very good chance that if you give it a try, you will too. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform. They have 30,000 therapists, and they'll match you with one who can best meet your personal needs. And if that one doesn't work, no problem. They'll find another qualified therapist to try instead. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com. That's BetterHelp.com.
All right, we're back, and we're going to get straight into our point number 2. Cam, 3 minutes on the clock for Sam Fisher, starting
30
now.
seconds remaining.
So continuing, if Sam's fighting a mummy, there's nothing like a frozen Egyptian pharaoh that can withstand dry ice, causing ingredients like CO2 chemical bombs. Not to mention, the mummy's slower than Jason Voorhees to respond. He's never been victorious, and he suffers from Terminator syndrome, where he can non-lethally fling his opponents around. Sam has survived all kinds of falls and everything, and never lost a fight. He will have already fired a ring airfoil projectile which stuns every kind of enemy within any kind of distance. He's planted hidden sticky cameras on the tomb that can electrocute Imhotep at the same time. He also has with him 24/7 robotic drones that can distract Imhotep and lay bombs in the tomb. Maybe you can get his drones to retrieve that spear of Osiris that Imhotep desires and fire at Imhotep's back, all while Sam's shooting grenades, sleeping gas, stun darts, and high-caliber rounds all at the same time at Imhotep. Sam can also pick up a spear and shoot it using his crossbow. And again, he has sleeping gas on his side. He has all these weapons with him 24/7. He doesn't need any prep time. He's not Batman where he's got to go to the Batcave and plan it out. And again, Sam didn't just get all these kills overnight. You know, he, in any kind of Ubisoft media, has always just been target first, eliminate second. And he's tackled every kind of guard dog, every kind of, heavily trained human, and he doesn't have any personal fears. No amount of trickery or religious imagery is going to get under his head. He's going to be like, next, what do I do have to take out this opponent? And all while busting out a smooth action hero one-liner that we've come accustomed to for his kind of persona. And also, the army of Anubis would be outside interference. So here's a question. If he can use that, can I use my entire Rainbow Six team? But Either way, yes, we're talking about a former Navy SEAL and a CIA officer who's rooted out all kinds of corruption. This is going to be a typical Tuesday in curb stomping match because you can claim whatever you are. Sam's going to get to the bottom of it, and he's not going to let you have the upper hand in a fight. I mean, again, this same guy killed his own boss without hesitation. Do you think he questioned it? No, he didn't. He went ahead and he did the dirtiest thing you could ever do. Kill your boss.
30 seconds remaining.
And again, the mummy has tossed people yards in the air without being able to kill them. Do you think this is really going to have an impact on Sam, who's never been tossed in the air but endured all kinds of impossible feats? No, sir. No dice.
All right, Ray, 3 minutes on the clock for your point number 2, starting now.
Absolutely. Now, I am ready to fully demolish these arguments right here because you say the drones are a diversion. What about an entire army of summoned undead? I believe that would be pretty difficult for somebody trying to hide in the shadows to have the entire town or the entire series of undead priests suddenly pop up out of the walls and start grabbing at you. And you say, oh, well, the mummy can use these summoned characters. Surely I can use the whole Rainbow Six squad. No, because summoning is a power. Using a walkie-talkie is not. That is, at the end of the day, the important thing between this. He doesn't just call on people who are already there. He is animating the undead around him to fight. He is not having a group of friends who beat people up for you. That is what bullies do. That is what terrible people do in high school. That is not what we do on a Who Would Win Masters episode. And you say target first, eliminate second. What happens when the weapons don't eliminate? What happens when the weapons don't work against the mummy? Because as we learned in the Mummy movie, quote unquote, no mortal weapons can kill this guy. This guy cannot be killed by mortal weapons. They lay it out right in the movie, which means you can have your machine guns or your silenced pistols or your cryo grenades or all this future tech that I know you're going to be relying on. It does not matter. You might be able to stun him, but more likely you're just going to make him mad and just get his attention and draw him to you. Durability-wise, he doesn't get hurt by physical damage. We saw it time and time again. He just gets annoyed by it. He's like, are you really trying to step to me? Grab, throw against a wall. Are you still alive? I'm going to keep coming at you. The big thing that they had against him in The Mummy was that there were several of them that he wanted to kill that he had to, he lost his attention between. But in a one-on-one confrontation, which this is not, because obviously he's summoning his priest to help out, Sam Fisher can't distract the mummy very well. He's going to be on point and he's going to murder him. He only got slowed down by shotgun fire. He got shot by pistols. He got shot by an SMG. It just didn't affect him. He had his arm chopped off by a machete. Brendan Fraser, big hero, chopped it off. He just got a little PO'd and he put his arm back on and he kept on fighting. The question I will ask of our judge today, Sam Proof, is how can Sam Fisher, fellow Sam, no bias, I see you, how can Sam Fisher put him down with only conventional weapons? I don't think he can. And not just that, how is he going to clear the distance? How is he going to dodge all of this? He could turn his body into a sandstorm. We'll get into that in just a little bit.
Well, before you put it all on me, it does go to the community after this, but let's see what Cam has to say for his counterpoint. 1 minute on the clock, starting now.
So, once again, I love how Sam's being called a bully when the mummy's the bad guy here. Anyway, so, yes, the mummy's slower than Jason Voorhees, especially with respawning. And again, Sam doesn't have to kill him. He just has to knock him out for 2 minutes. And so, he can't use his Rainbow Six team, but he can use his army of drones, which are going to be doing airstrikes and shooting and electrocuting various undead mummies and creatures that will disintegrate when they're hit. So, if anything, yeah, Imhotep's going to be walking very slow. He walks slower than the Terminator in all his movies. And again, he's unable to actually kill anyone. He just flings them around And if you're generic henchman number 1, you end up dying. But this is Sam Fisher we're talking about. So again, if we have all these bombs planted in the tomb, again, all Sam has to do is plant them, get out of there, and boom. Imhotep's trapped in that cave, probably for a whole day. And again, he's not immune to sleeping gas or any other toxin that's thrown in the air. And again, people in real life have been electrocuted and become mummies. So, hey, if all these guys just have to electrocute Imhotep at the same time while Sam is shooting all his henchmen, it's a walk in the park.
Well, that certainly was a gas, and we'll see if Ray has any way to combat sleeping gas when we come back after this break. All right, welcome back. We are getting into our point number 3, our third and final round of the battle. 3 minutes on the clock for our guest, Cam Sully, with Sam Fisher, starting now.
Alrighty, so whether or not we can use the Book of the Dead is a big question, but I take it if I'm in his tomb and Sam's fighting the mummy, he can probably use all different kinds of spears. And as we've seen before, the mummy just lets emotion get too high. He gets distracted, especially by his love interest. Now we're in the middle of nowhere. But again, he just gets angry by just little small things, and he takes his sweet time walking. And Sam's fast-paced, and he's not running and leaving the battlefield. He's setting traps. And when he sees danger, he's not playing around for 1 minute. And again, he can see all these creatures coming through the walls, and he uses night vision all the time. So all he needs to do is just whistle. Those beasts are going to come at him. Blam! They're going to hit all the claymores he's already planted there. All while Sam goes on to the other end and throws grenades into Imhotep's tomb. That's going to irritate Imhotep. And again, collapse the cave onto Imhotep while Sam's already gotten out of there. So again, what are we talking about here? When you're slower than Jason Voorhees or the Terminator, who I would very much fear more than either of these, either than Imhotep, that's saying a lot. So again, there's nothing scary about this creature, so Sam's not going to be perplexed. There's nothing deadly about him. So other than storms, that's just in typical Tuesday in the Sahara Desert when Sam's taking down a terrorist compound. So again, you can fling any kind of weather obstacle. Sam has done it again and again. And again, robotic drones are going to be pelting this or electrocuting the various people. So there's too much tech here in this argument that's going to make Imhotep go extinct again. And once again, the Maz rifle is just so deadly. It launches grenades. It's, again, silent. Silent. How can you react if it's silent and it's already gone through various walls and what have you? So, again, unless this was someone who had force powers, Sam's got a way out of this routine. And again, electrocution is how people become mummies. That is a real life thing, which we can definitely implement here because there's some kind of physics in these movies. And again,
30 seconds remaining.
Maybe I can look up the Book of the Dead if that's allowed, and that'll help too. But either way, Sam can endure, and endurance is what it ultimately matters. And once again, this is basically a ninja who's fighting a discount musketeer. That's what's happening in this round. And plus, we got plenty of spider bots and other crossbows. I'm pretty sure the whistling alone is going to piss off Imhotep and just distract him as he's walking into one of Sam's claymores. What are we talking about here?
All right, Ray, 3 minutes on the clock for your third and final point, starting now.
Yeah, the thing that you're not even talking about is the fact that Imhotep has access to all of the curses of ancient Egypt. And you act like he's just not bringing anything to the table. Like he's some slow, shambling Jason Voorhees who can die, which is not even correct. Absolutely outrageous. First off, I want to talk about the night vision goggles because there are visibility issues when you are in a sandstorm, right? The night vision goggles allow you to see in the dark. However, the sand particles in the air can create a blinding effect. It's like looking through fog. The particles reflect light, which is the entire way that night vision goggles work. which makes the image not quite work correct and reduces contrast, making it difficult to distinguish between one object and the next. Also, drones. They have limited ammunition. He can make his body full of sand, which basically, how do you drone a sandstorm? The answer is you can't. And also, he's been able to manipulate entire bodies of water. Do drones work well when pelted with a hurricane or a tsunami level of water that just cascades on top of them? I would think not. And also, you keep saying, and I don't understand, how Sam Fisher is setting all of these bombs in the middle of fighting with the mummy. If they're 10 feet away from each other, how is he suddenly setting bombs all throughout the temple to crash it down on Imhotep when Imhotep will be on him every single step of the way? But let's talk about the curses, because he has control of scarabs. These scarabs, these beetles, they crawl around on the floor, and they crawl up and they go inside the skin of anybody that they touch, and there is an army of them. I mean, again, they drain the full life out of people by overwhelming them, pushing them to the floor, and then there's a husk left behind. But he also had a storm of locusts. You talk about a sandstorm plus locusts versus a guy with night vision goggles. He won't be able to see anything. The mummy can just show up behind him, grab him in a Vulcan neck pinch, and then drain his essence, turning him into essentially a drained orange after I squeeze it for the juice. That's Sam Fisher at the end of this battle. He made rivers of blood. He turned their scotch into blood. He created fireballs from the sky. He literally destroyed a town in Egypt with fireballs that came out of the sky. Drones are not immune to meteorite fireballs from the sky, last time I checked. And he has darkness. He can immediately create darkness whenever he wants to with an outstretched hand. So even if it takes place at day, he'll turn it into night. He picked up a dude as a sandstorm physically and drained him, and he can create illusions, treasure, ancient Egypt itself, and confuse Sam Fisher and the drones with illusions. Not only that, he can overtake an entire population with afflictions, right? How is Sam Fisher and his handful of drones going to take out everyone who's both alive and dead at the same time? He has an army of townsfolk who have been turned. Meanwhile, he also has an army of his people. This is too much for that man to handle.
All right, Cam, it is time for your third and final counterpoint. 60 seconds on the clock, starting now.
Once again, Ghost is Sam's middle name. He takes on people who have all his equipment with or without his own equipment. So all these creatures, which get blown up throughout the movie, aren't going to be able to harm him because he will have planted claymores. Plus, he's always moving. Imhotep takes his sweet time walking, and he only steals your soul when he has you in his hand. He can't do it within just distances away. He's got to be up close and sucking your soul out. Again, Sam's not going to let you get close to him. So that's irrelevant. Locusts do not harm people. And again, the scarabs will have been blasted by the spider bots or the drones. And again, the drones are very much like the Call of Duty ones, where they're very accurate and very maneuverable. So again, if they've already planted an airstrike and leveled Imhotep's tomb while Sam gets out and throws a few grenades for Sore Eyes, mission done, mission accomplished. And once Imhotep dies, guess what? This army's going to evaporate. So again, Sam's going to keep his eyes on the prize. The sandstorms do not come into focus in the video games. I played them. Again, Sam was able to maneuver Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, for God's sakes. He's seen some hard to navigate stuff. This is going to be no different than...
All right, and as with every battle, Ray has not had counterpoints, so he gets the final thought. Ray, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready right now, as it turns out, because I've heard a lot of nonsense coming from Cam Sully here, and more power to you. I think Sam Fisher, to me at least, is an uphill battle. And the inclusion of the drones I thought was very interesting, although easily pushed aside and countered by myself. You're talking about planned airstrikes. I'm sorry, was this fight labeled as the entire U.S. military forces overseas versus the mummy? Or was it Sam Fisher versus the mummy? There's a lot of things I think you assume happen that are probably not going to happen. Oh, you just casually let out, oh, he's just setting claymores everywhere. Where? How? The mummy is 10 feet away from him at any given time. You act like the mummy can't turn into a sandstorm, and immediately, we saw it in the first movie. He became the sandstorm, pushed into a room, grabbed a man as the sandstorm, drained his life to a husk, dropped him on the floor, and then turned into the mummy. This is the whole point. And even if he doesn't use the sandstorm mobility, which he clearly has, he used repeatedly in the movie, all he has to do is just throw up a body of water or throw up a giant sandstorm with locusts or all of these scarab beetles, which Sam Fisher's going to have to get out of the way of. If you can get Sam Fisher off of his game, you can easily defeat him. And sending a whole group of scarabs at his last known position is absolutely going to get him to try to move out of the way, at which point you just pop up behind him. If you say he moves like Jason Voorhees, I guess he has slasher portation. I wasn't going to go there, but you put it on the menu and I will order it. That being said, we're going to act like the mummy can't get within 2 feet of Sam Fisher, grab him by the neck, and then drain him like a husk when it wants to. I think he dies well before that, but since conventional weapons, human weapons cannot hurt the mummy, what are you going to possibly do? I love the effort. That's not enough.
All right, there's a lot that has been said and a lot of maybe subtext there. I've got a lot to go over, so I will return with my decision after this.
Sam has weighed all the points made. 2 figures met in collision. Now let's find out who would win. It's time to hear Sam's decision.
Oh boy, all right, you guys really wanted me to do some thinking here. So here we go. Some thinking happened. Look, Cam came out with like a giant list of equipment worthy of limitless video game inventory or just giant cargo pants. But with no prep time, when does Sam find the time to rig the tombstone, the battlefield, the claymores, wire bombs, sticky cams? I don't think he has the time. To trap Imhotep in his tomb implies also Fisher's already inside, which means this isn't a stealth op, it's a crypt walk. With no previous knowledge, they have to get close enough to identify each other as hostiles. That's less intel gathering and more of a mummy meet cute. Imhotep calls down curses of locusts, scarabs, and sandstorms, and he even creates supernatural darkness, which is so adorable when facing a man with 3 green lights. Sam does not fear the dark, for the dark fears him. Look, I have to agree that while Imhotep's powers let him conjure beetles and raise the dead, Rainbow Six probably isn't showing up unless this campaign goes on for a very long time. So, Sam's going to have to rely on his bag of tricks, but it won't be a sleeping bag of tricks, because you can't knock out a guy whose internal organs were removed during processing. Sleeping gas needs lungs and a central nervous system. Imhotep is running on curse firmware. The Scarab and the drones probably hold the line, which I assume Ray knows from his job as a bug report. And while Imhotep might not have Jason's slasher portation, he does have the ability to close the distance in a sort of sand mobility that gives the mummy the ability to make an oasis in the desert, by which I mean a Fisher hole, as he's been juiced. Well, we'll have to see if Ubisoft releases the Book of Amun-Ra in a future DLC, but in this matchup, I am calling it for the mummy.
That was a tough one. I'll be honest, those drones are not something that I prepared for. Obviously, my counter research let me down a little bit on this because it's just not something I thought about. And I hope that, and obviously it worked for Sam. We'll see if it worked for the people as well. It's something that I had to sort of combat on the fly with the drone, because the drones
the
fly.
beetle.
The Beatles are Yellow Submarine. Anyway, the point I'm trying to say is that was a much tougher battle than I thought going in. So, Cam, congratulations on that. We don't know what the people are going to say. How are you feeling right now?
I love how everyone forgot the electrocution point. You can't combat electricity. Electricity combats you. It disintegrates you, in fact.
I don't think electricity is disintegrating the mummy who cannot be harmed by the mortal weapons.
But then it freezes you.
Is he get frozen? That's a new thing. I guess in my mind, at least, the second that something like that happens, and I think I made this point on the show already, he'll just turn into sand and he'll just fly away and plan his next attack. Like, I just don't think that he's going to be put down by something like that.
And then there was the dry ice and the CO2 chemical gas, which is going to
Those are mortal weapons.
Mortal weapons.
No. That impacts
those
any
were
kind
made
of
by
sand.
immortals. Those are CO2 canisters are suddenly magical in the world of Cam Sully. I want to hear you argue your point for the people and use that time.
It's going to burn
we'll have to see
through
if the people
sand.
say.
So, like, Imhotep's going to be like Anakin Skywalker. He doesn't want to become sand at that rate. When
he's going to become Anakin Skywalker, and then he's going to murder a lot of people and then run an empire. I agree with you.
No. I did not say that. And
but the people's turn to decide. Yeah. The time for points was during the rounds. Now we're just being silly.
We will see what the people has to say. My decision's been cast.
This is really some Sam on Sam crime if you think about it.
It is. It's hard to vote against a Sam. It's
Sam. I showed you proof.
Oh boy! Wow, you're gonna throw all of my name at me, Cam. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on the JURS podcast. We are now launching 5 puzzling questions, which will examine Wild West legends and other true crime and entertainment scandals. We'll examine the Kennedys. We'll examine just other wacky entertainment scandals, like how many directors actually directed The Wizard of Oz. Just fun entertainment stuff like that. Other canon films type wannabes. It's a fun merging of both entertainment and getting away from the grisly stuff that true crime and history usually covers. We're also doing comedy roasts right now. We've covered everybody so far, from controversial people like Tarantino and Scorsese to like it or hate it, like Nickelback and Tom Cruise. And we're very witty. We try our best to just make fun of just how ego-ridden they are and how you can still like these maniacs, even though they're just angersome each time you read a tabloid about them. So, with further ado, yes, if you want to reach out to me on the interwebs and discuss just fun, just cult movies and TV shows and B movies, Jacked Up Review Show podcast as you covered there. Good match. Fun time.
Great. All right, Ray, any last words before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm surprised that Cam Sully didn't go full Sam on Sam violence by talking about surface-to-air missiles, because that would have been... And to be fair, he did try to bring in the army of Uncle Sam as well. So we have like a 4-Sam offensive happening in this battle.
Drones that blow up temples and trap mummies inside.
I mean, if blowing up a temple would be enough to defeat him, I guess that would be a good point. The point I'm trying to make is I'm surprised you didn't bring in Sam the Eagle from the Muppet Show to try to. We went a Quint Sam battle
because
in this
Sam
episode.
hates everybody. What do you think he's going to be a good teammate?
It's a very, very fair point. I don't even know which. There are 5 Sams. I don't even know which one you're talking about anymore, because you're right about all of them somehow. The point I'm trying to make in all of this is, Cam, thank you for being here. I'm glad you think that your arguments were good enough. I sit here in my throne of judgment saying they were definitely not. But I'm going to let the people say, would you be kind enough to join us on the wrap-up episode next week to talk about all of the people's comments? Because I think you did make some very good points. I think I made some obviously better points, but the people ultimately will say what they think. And I'm very curious what they're going to comment, because they're either going to be one of two things. They're either going to be very much in your corner and say, I think Cam Sully's drone thing absolutely hit home and didn't get countered. Or they're going to say, Cam, you put everything in the drones, and the drones weren't enough to prove your point. So unfortunately, you came up short. One of those two things is definitely going to happen.
Well, either way, I don't see how they can combine electrocution that turns you into a skeleton. It's just...
I mean, he is a skeleton. So, I mean,
right.
It is.
And when you become a full-blown skeleton, then I can punch your block in, and it's game over. So,
but once you find a drone that could turn me into myself, I'm just saying I don't know that that's a great argument. The point I'm trying to make in all of this is this was a very fun battle. I was very worried going into it that it was going to go off the rails completely, given how weird the matchup is. But I don't think it did. I think we did. I think we all accomplished our goals today.
Yes,
And I have nowhere you can find me. Listen to another show. Listen to my vampire show. Whatever. Sam, take us home.
Before this show goes off the rails anymore, thank you for listening. Yep, all the way off. Thank you for listening, and absolutely make your voices heard on our Patreon, where you can keep this debate going. Also join us on the Who Would Win Masters Discord. You can find us at patreon.com/whowouldwinmasters and find the Discord link from there. Tune in next week as Ray and I go over your votes, read your reviews and your comments, and wrap up this battle. And if you think you've got what it takes to be a part of Who Would Win Masters, record a 1-minute video demo of yourself, send it to whowouldwinmasters@gmail.com, and who knows, maybe we'll see you in the Challenger's chair in the future. For Who Would Win Masters, this is Sam Proof. Stay strong.